I want to guide you through the process of setting up a shopping wish list for yourself, so you can easily organize and keep track of all the things you'd like to buy. Let's dive in and get started with this right away. First off, let's get things rolling by fixing the name properly. Gotta make sure it's spot on before we dive deeper, right? Once that's sorted, we'll smoothly transition to the next step, keeping the momentum going. Now, let's talk about the categories section, which is where the magic really starts to happen. We'll kick things off with a bang by typing gallery into the search bar. Super simple, yet so effective. Then we'll pick the option labeled gallery view from the list that pops up. It's like choosing the perfect frame for a masterpiece. After we've successfully selected gallery view, we've got to double check that our preference is set to an empty view and an empty database. Basically, we're starting with a clean slate here. This step is absolutely crucial, my friends, because it ensures we're setting up our stuff the right way, laying a solid foundation for everything that comes next. It's all about getting that perfect setup to make our wish list shine. Alright, now we hide this. Basically, we make it invisible, like a ninja vanishing into the shadows with a stealthy swoosh. Finally, we get to the fun part where we create a category for ourselves and name it something super cool, for example, clothing, because who doesn't love a good wardrobe refresh? We get rid of these items, as well as this tag, in the end, cleaning things up nice and tidy to keep everything looking sharp and organized. In this process, we set up a simple yet effective database system for it. Pretty smooth, right? It's like building a foundation that's both practical and awesome. At first, let's just say we totally nailed it. We made a simple yet effective move that sets the tone for everything else, paving the way for a seamless setup. At this point, we establish a text field for it, which we properly name as total items, giving it that perfect touch of organization to make our list pop. Then we add a colon right after total items too, making sure it looks just right and ready for action. We copy and paste it again right here and place it here too, making sure everything is perfectly aligned in its spot. Alright, this part with categorization is just temporary, so don't worry, we're not stuck with it forever. My apologies, let me add a cool icon for it as well, clothing, to give it that extra flair and make it pop. This looks really nice and neutral, which is awesome because it's super versatile. It doesn't have to be specifically for women or men, so everyone can enjoy it and make it their own, no matter their style or preference. Alright, we close this page and make a few more quick and simple adjustments to polish things up. We go to properties, set it to be displayed properly, and ensure it shows this item carefully with precision, then go back. We enter the layer section and select from the layers so that nothing appears for us unexpectedly, and ensure that everything is set correctly to keep it all in check, preventing the preview from showing up, which keeps things nice and tidy for us. Then, we resize it to small to make it more compact and manageable. And finally, we enable Wrap All Properties to keep everything neatly organized. We select Wrap All Properties, and when it asks from which side it should open, we specify that it should open from the right or in fact from the corner, giving it that perfect placement. When we open this page, that's it for now. We've got it all set for the moment. Now, we head over to the page settings to make some additional tweaks and adjustments. First of all, let's get started with the next steps to fine-tune everything just the way we want it. We make it full width and widen it to give it that nice, spacious look we're aiming for, which really helps everything stand out beautifully, and then we proceed to dive deeper into more customization to truly make it our own in a unique and personal way. We choose to turn off our table of contents, keeping things clean, organized, and streamlined for a smoother, more enjoyable experience that feels just right. We also carefully turn off the page discussion toggle to avoid distractions, meticulously disable backlinks to keep the clutter at bay, and set the inline comments to the minimal settings for a touch of simplicity that works perfectly. Alright, that's done, and we're good to go with this setup. Now we slowly type a slash with our keyboard. Once we enter the slash, we carefully write the number 2 on the page, and after writing the number 2, we go to the option for 2 columns and select it. Now we have 2 columns, though we can't see them yet. We drag and drop the gallery we created into one of them. At the top, we write categories in large text, and then we press Ctrl+ Shift +3 or 2 to create a title. Alright, our categories are pretty much wrapped up and looking good. Nice work so far. Let me also add a little flair by tossing in an icon for this section to make it pop. We'll go ahead and assign a cool icon for the category as well, just to give it that extra touch of personality and keep things visually awesome. And right, so now we've got the general outline of our category all set up and ready to roll. Looking pretty solid if you ask me. We'll collapse it to make it a bit smaller since we don't want it to be any bigger than this for now. Let's keep it maybe around this size to keep things nice and tidy. Right now, this one's way too big and that one's just too small. We're kinda stuck in the middle here, aren't we? Let's figure out what we'll do about that a bit later. No rush. Alright, here we have another section to dive into. The items that we want to purchase or already have are up next, so let's get started with this and keep the good vibes going. And then we split our main database from it, Basically, we're separating the items we've already bought, the ones we're thinking about grabbing in the future, and the ones we've cancelled and don't plan to buy anymore, so we can keep everything nice and organized. This way, we get to sort our shopping wish list properly and break these categories apart from each other in a super neat way. So I'll go ahead and create a new gallery, which is like a cool collection of items that I want to organize and manage with ease. Then I select the gallery view, which is awesome because it lets me see all the items in either a grid or list format, whatever works best for me. After that, I choose the option labeled New Empty Database. One more time to ensure I've got a clean, fresh database to work with, starting from scratch like a blank canvas. Oops, I accidentally titled the document Shopping Wishing List, which totally wasn't what I meant to do. My bad. I'll remove the extra part to fix it up real quick. Moving on, I'll make sure the database is hidden from view, keeping it completely invisible to anyone who might access this section, so it stays nice and private. As for the gallery view, I'm thinking about renaming it to something that fits even better. Let's see what we can come up with. I'll name it Items. Let's keep it simple and straightforward. No need to make it too complicated or fancy, right? Alright, I'll also pick a cool icon for this to give it some visual flair. The icon for our items will be a box, which I think fits perfectly. Actually, this icon is spot on for these items, so I'll go ahead and select it without a second thought. Then I'll head back and change the icon for categories to keep everything consistent and looking sharp. I'll type category and set its icon to something that matches the vibe we're going for. Now, everything is all set and ready to roll. Looking good so far. We'll repeat some of the settings we configured earlier in the layout to make sure it all ties together nicely and stays on point. For now, at this moment, we won't set up anything for the page, because we'll be working on it later. We'll set the size to small, enable all of the wrap all properties comprehensively, and configure it carefully to open from precisely a corner whenever we want to click on it. Alright, let's keep the ball rolling and move on to the next option in our setup. First of all the templates have been created, so we're in a great spot. Nice work getting that done. In my opinion, we've only got a few simple tasks left to wrap things up, which is super exciting. Here, I'll add a new item and name it MacBook Pro M4, which I think we've all been waiting long enough for. It's finally time to include this gem in our list. Personally, I'm a Windows user, but this year I'm planning to switch things up and buy a Mac, which I'm pretty pumped about. Most likely I'll go for it, but I can't promise you for sure just yet. Let's see how things play out. Alright, let's clean things up a bit and delete these extra items that we don't need anymore. I really wish we could tell the system not to generate these automatically, so we'd have the freedom to create and add whatever we wanted ourselves without the extra clutter. We've successfully added the MacBook here, looking good so far. Now, what properties do we have for this item? What settings do we need to tweak to make sure everything's set up just right for our needs? Let's dive into that next. We set 0 so that it doesn't show us too many decimal numbers, keeping things nice and clean. In the number format, we also make sure it shows as USD for clarity. Now, if we type in a number here, let's just randomly type something for fun. $56,000, that's how much this laptop costs. Wow, what an expensive laptop. Can you believe that price tag? Let's go to Edit Property and name it Price, or you can name it Item Price if you prefer. We'll also search for money to add a money icon for it to make it pop. Alright, that's done. Looking good so far. Now, what else do we need to tackle next? Let us consider adding a reason for ourselves as to why we want to buy it. Reason to purchase. Such as, what's our reason for wanting this? The reason is blah 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 because we like to buy it anyway. You know how it goes. We can also change its icon here, but to save time, I won't do it right now. Now, we'll create a select option and name it Priority or Prioritization Priority. Sorry, I don't know why I'm messing up. My bad. Let me write Priority from the start again. The hassle of being multilingual is just like this. What can we do about it? Anyway, let's indeed add an app here. We say this icon for the app can be extremely useful. So priority. What is priority? Well, the first option is high, the second option is medium, and the third option is low. And of course, this one has high priority because we definitely want it that way. We also carefully adjust the colors. We say if it's yellow, we give ourselves a yellow light, which means it's medium priority. Actually, I misspoke. If it's medium priority, we give ourselves a yellow light. And if it's not very urgent and is low priority, or our need for it is minimal, we mark it with red and give ourselves a red light. Alright, let's keep things moving. Now we also want to add a few more properties to our current setup to make it even more functional and tailored to our needs. For example, we want to add a status property to clearly show our current status, which will help us better manage our workflow and stay on top of things. We can say that we change this progress to purchasing soon, dismissed, or whatever else you prefer, and just keep it as is for now. Or we can go with not started. Let's stick with not started for the time being to keep it simple. Alternatively, we can say in the process of considering to purchase, which means we're still deciding whether to buy it at this moment in time, weighing our options carefully. We also changed done to purchased to make it more specific and clear for our tracking. On top of that, we add another option here and name it cancelled at this point in time, so we can mark anything we've decided to skip for good. Right, oh man. Why didn't I confirm it earlier? Cancel is definitely the correct choice here. My bad. I totally forgot to press enter to lock it in. Silly me. We'll make its color red to clearly show that it has been cancelled, giving it that visual pop to stand out. It's basically complete now since we no longer want it, so we're all set with that one. Here, we also added this property to keep everything organized and on track. Moving forward, we'll add another option for when a case has been created, so we can handle those scenarios smoothly too. And we'll name it added on. This way, we can indicate that we've added it to our list for future reference. At this point in time, we will add another additional property and name it gallery. Before adding the name, let me make a copy of it so I don't have to type it again right now. Let's go back. And we select the file and media option in the menu. Now we paste the name that we had copied earlier and set it as the label gallery to the system. Here, we're going to upload our images to the gallery. Let me add a few images and come back, and I will show you in just a moment. Alright, I've added a MacBook here. And now, let me think for a moment. Oh, I'll carefully select the option for a link or perhaps a URL link. For now, at this point in time, I won't add a URL, but I'll give it a new name and specifically call it Shopping Link. This way, so that in the future we'll know where we want to buy it from. Let's leave the last option as it is and adjust this number slightly lower, of course. Let the price stay at the top. The reason for purchase stays there as well. Priority remains, status stays. Everything is correct. Now, before we close this page, let's do one small thing and then continue with our work. Click on Customize Layout from the top, and if you'd like, set it to full width. And now here we click on Item Plus and select Gallery Item to bring it down for us. Alright, my gallery has been separated. Now we go ahead and pin the price here for us. Pin the prioritization for us, pin the basis, and also pin the purchase link. We completely move these out of sight so that we don't even know the reason for our purchases. Who cares about that anyway? We just buy because we like it. Then we click on Apply to all pages. And these settings get saved. This page is now complete. If we want more options, we click on this 3-dot button to see additional details, and if we don't want them, we click again to collapse it. You can also click on this icon at the top. Whichever is more convenient and accessible for you. Alright, we'll close this page now. Again, we go to the item section in our gallery, then to the layout. Earlier, I mentioned that we would do this later. Now we'll do it. We set the card preview to gallery because we didn't have it at that time, and we had to wait. Now, we've also added an item. I'll duplicate this item a few times because who wants to waste time, right? So now, for example, we have several items. I'll open them and set one of them to soon. I'll definitely buy it. I'll set one to cancel, another to purchase, and I think there's absolutely one more. I'll just leave that as it is. We won't touch it. Now, we take a copy link to view this one, and we also take a copy link to view this gallery. Then we add a plus sign to create some space underneath it. Here, we press Ctrl+V to paste the link we created. Now we select the database view link. At this point, we have a copy of it, but with the difference that this copy comes from the original. So we take the original, drag it down to move it out of the way since it's our main database for the items. We move it down and then we take the copy and bring it up. Oops, I messed everything up. Alright, I'll fix it now, no worries. We'll also create a duplicate of our name. That heading we initially created is to keep things organized here. We name this one Purchasing Soon, without a question mark because we're definitely going to buy it. We set this as Purchasing Soon and select it accordingly. So now we totally apply a filter and make it super clear that if the current status is something like considering to purchase, whoops, my bad, purchasing or in progress or maybe purchasing soon, then dear and awesome system, we're nicely asking you to show just these specific entries right here, nothing extra, okay? Oh, you amazing and wise system, you've totally got this in the bag. Now, since we made a duplicate of this, you see this is still connected to the same database, meaning even if we duplicate it 1,000 times, it will still be linked to the original. So right here, I select both and keep pressing Ctrl+D multiple times. I've done it 4 or 5 times now to meet my needs. Then I add a space between all of them to make the layout a bit more minimal. And very neatly and easily, I say that now very clearly and concisely, I must emphasize that your filter changes to considering to purchase, so it shows those who have expressed their intent to buy. Considering to purchase, this is our title. Now at this point in time, it is important to note that we move on to the next one and subsequently change its filter and say, as we proceed further, we will carefully and meticulously examine the next one in our sequence and make the necessary adjustments. Progress should become complete, but cancelled should not be included. I click save and I say completed. Oh, wait, let me mention this. Purchase items, purchase. This is also an option for purchased items. And for our last filter, we change it to complete again, but this time we uncheck purchase and set it to display only the cancelled ones. And this one, which seems to be extra, we delete it because it is no longer needed in our current setup. We also correct the title, ensuring it accurately reflects the content, and name it cancelled to indicate its status. Alright, we go back to the previous section. Add a space. Actually, sorry, we type a slash, which is a crucial step, then select page to create a new page for us. This new page will serve as a dedicated space for our content, and we name it database to clearly define its purpose and make it easily identifiable for future reference. Alright, we go back to the previous section. Add a space. Actually, sorry, we type a slash, which is a key step, then select page to create a new page for us. This new page will serve as a dedicated space for it. Drag and drop it into the database. For the database, we set an icon, also assigning a data icon to it. This way, our main database is inside, and things here won't get too cluttered. The difference is that it displays everything there. Wow, I just realized something. I should have done this from the beginning. We say what should it do? Display the price. I should have done this first when I wanted to make a copy of it. Now it's going to be a hassle. No worries, we also bring in the reason for purchase. We also bring in the priority, and as a matter of fact, we don't need the status because we already have it at the top. We do the same for these as well, and in particular say, show the price, specifically show the priority, and bring the reason to the center. Alright, these two are enough. You've got the general idea, and the same thing applies to these as well. Now we open one of these and add another property to it. With that, our template is almost complete. We click on View Details, then click on Add Property, type rel or select the relation property. It's a relation. We create a pleasant and enjoyable, beneficial and practical and friendly relation between the items and categories in a very comprehensive and detailed manner. And we also turn this into a two-way relation in a seamless and efficient way. Then we click on Add Relation. Here, we don't change its name, just its icon. And from here, whatever we have in our category, we can select. Right now, I only have one category, so I'll select it. Now this relation has been created. If I open other items, I can assign a category to them. So now let's create a new category. We'll name our new category, for example, electronics, and assign an icon to it. Elect looks good. Let's add another category as well. I'll copy this total item onto it. Now I'll turn this into a template. For now, I won't create another category. Instead, I'll go ahead and create a template for our categories. We'll name just the category first. Let me modify its icon as well. Now for items, I'll update their name to reflect what's inside. Alright, this is set up completely now. From here on out, you can also select any of these items, whatever you like. And it's a two-way relationship. Here, we'll copy and paste this so we don't have to do it manually each time. I'll also press Ctrl+B to make it bold. That's done as well. I can also add an icon as a sample or demo. What should the default icon be? Let's say this downward arrow inside a circle looks good for it. Now, if I turn this into a category set, the default will be applied whenever I create a new category. It will automatically use this as the default. Well, I won't change their names anymore. I'm going to make the final move. What is the final move? I'll tell you now. I open the category and add another property to it. In this property, I look for rollup. Once I create the rollup, I close it. Then I click on the empty field and select the database. The same database that we just connected to it. And in the property section, we again tell it to keep the same name. It doesn't matter. Alright, then we specify what to do in the calculation. We tell it to count how many there are. And it tells us there are 2, meaning there are 2 items. And that's it. All done. Now another idea came to my mind. I hadn't done on the template. I set this up to become the title. If I click on the properties and select the 3 dots outside and tell it to show the rollup, it will display total items equals 2, total items equals 0, or 1 and 1. I don't want this right now. It's not very elegant, smart, or appealing. So let's do something else. I'll add a new property, select formula, and after selecting formula, I specify exactly what it should do to get the result we're looking for. I write a quote to start things off, then type total items, followed by a space to keep it neat and clear, and then close the quote to wrap it up nicely. I add a plus sign and select the rollup property here. Now it automatically shows the total items, so I go ahead and delete the redundant part. And that's it. See how much cleaner it looks? Then I go back to the properties and bring up my new item, which is the formula. I am going to visit this category page, where I can customize it to my liking. Once I arrive, I will click on the layout option to make the necessary changes. Let me walk you through this process step by step, ensuring everything is set up just right. I select this pin my formula and move it to the right. I completely move the property group to the right as well. Then I add one more item here and set it to display the items. And that's it. We won't do anything with the rollup anymore. If you want, you can change its name or modify it however you like. Now, I go back into the properties and set it so that rollups are not displayed at all. And that's it, we're done. This is everything from the template. Again, it's quite large, but the main idea is the same. We've now built a very compact and simple system. You might not believe it, but this is one of my most efficient templates. Considering that it doesn't even have this option, I hadn't added this simple formula for it. But now that it just occurred to me, I'll definitely add it. That's it, done and dusted. Now, you can handle the beautification yourself. Add icons, add cables, or anything else you like. But as for the system itself, it's complete. It doesn't need anything else. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and share it with your friends so they can follow along too if they're interested in Notion and want to learn. I'll be posting lots of exciting tutorials every week on the page and the channel. That's it. Goodbye.